Ready? The little subheading today under adding integer or under integers is, believe it or not, subtracting integers. Now, there is one fundamental rule to subtract integers. First of all, if you can add integers, you can subtract them, because here's the rule as it is given. To subtract integers, comma, you add the opposites. Or you add the opposite. And this will take a few short little examples, and maybe you will or not get it. For example, let's look at some subtraction problems here. Negative 12 minus a negative 3. Negative 3 minus a negative 12. Negative 3 minus a positive 3. No, negative 12 minus a positive 3. And negative 3 minus a positive 12. It almost makes sense here, but let's talk about this first. What the simple rule says is this. In order to subtract an integer, you add, changes to an addition sign, the opposite of whatever this was, which means you add a positive 3. So if you think about this like we did when we talked about electrons and protons, okay, you have 12 negatives, and you add 3 positives to that. Remember, they balance out and you cross off, and you're going to get negative 9. Now, it makes sense if that's the way it works, right, Riv? Because let's go back to what I started with. I had 12 negatives, right? And what did it say I was doing originally? I am subtracting 3 negatives, which means I am taking 3 negatives away. What am I left with? Negative 9. When you take away negatives, it's actually like you're adding something, because if somebody took away your debt, remember we talked about negative numbers as like money you owe somebody? Well, if you take away a negative number, it's really adding money because you're taking away their debt. You owe $100,000 on your house. Somebody says, okay, I'm taking away your debt. I am subtracting your debt of $100,000. That means really they did the same thing as gave you that. But this is probably the easiest way to think about it. Change opposite to add opposite. A negative 3 plus 12 would be what? You have 3 negatives, you have 12 positives. You're going to end up with a balance of positive 9. Same thing here. Change this to its opposite, which makes it a positive. Change this to its opposite, it makes it a negative. If I have a negative 12 plus a negative 3, Charles? Negative 15. Same thing here. Opposite, opposite. Negative 3 plus a negative 12, negative 15. Remember the rules when we got to adding integers was if they have the same sign, which these do after I change them, I add them together and take that sign. Same sign, add together, take the sign. If they have opposite signs, you subtract them and you take the sign of the bigger one. Opposite signs, take the sign of the bigger one. Let's try some, because I know that you're very excited about this. I'm just going to write a whole bunch of randoms up there and see if you can get the right answer here. Positive 6 minus negative 3, positive 8 plus negative 4, negative 16 minus positive 8, positive 14 minus negative 3 and positive 15 plus positive 6. Somebody close that door, please. You do those problems and see what you get. Remember, if it's addition, you just do it the way it is. If it's subtracting integers, you add the opposites. And again, if this was on your assignment, ladies and gentlemen, you certainly would write those problems all down. Because while you are good looking, you may not always be that smart. I got a smile out of Brady. That's all I have. Brady, that just makes my day complete. Matt, I'm getting the corn in before it gets too flat. God bless you. Got answers for all of them? Close? What are the percentages that you got those all right? What do you think?
75.
What's the chance?
Not very good.
You have to give me a percent. What's the probability? 2/3? So here's the deal. If it's subtraction, okay, you are going to change it to addition and change only the sign of the one you're subtracting. So this is a positive 6 plus a positive 3, which River is? Positive 9. You don't really have to put the positive sign there. This one, Kate, positive 8 plus a negative 4. You don't have to do anything with it, but it's not subtraction. So if you have 8 plus a negative 4, positive 4. Negative 16 minus a positive 8. Again, it's subtraction, so now it changes to its opposite. This to its opposite. What is a negative 16 plus a negative 8? Danny?
I had a negative 8 again.
Negative 16 plus a negative 8. They're both the same sign. I have 16 negatives. And I have 8 more negatives.
So positive 2.
They're all negatives. It's negative 24. You have 16 negatives and you're adding 8 more negatives. That's 24 negatives. Negative 24. This one over here, positive 14 minus a negative 3. You change it to its opposite. Change it to its opposite. What is a positive 14 plus a positive 3, Kevin?
A positive 17.
Positive 17. This one here, positive 15 plus a positive 6, Ellie. What? Positive 21. Again, children, think about this. Let's review this. Charles, you with me here? If you are adding and the numbers have the same sign, you are always going to add them together because you're getting more of the same thing. 2 negatives, do we have 2 negatives here? Yeah. These were both negatives after I changed it. That means I start out with 16 negatives and I get 8 more negatives. That's 24 negatives. Here I started out with 15. I got 15 positives. I got 6 more positives. You were going to add them together. If the 2 numbers end up with opposite signs, that means you're going to have to combine things and there's going to be smaller of them. Like this one. I had 8 positives and 4 negatives. 4 of those negatives are going to cross off with 4 of the positives, and you're going to be left with a balance of 4. If they have opposite signs, you are going to end up subtracting them and taking the sign of the big number. Let's go again. How about negative 5 minus negative 2, negative 8 plus negative 2. How about 15, positive 15 minus positive 3. And how about a positive 15 plus negative 6? Give it another shot, kids. I'm relatively convinced that there's a chance you might get this. So, here we go. If they're subtracting, you're gonna change it to adding, which these are, so this becomes a positive and a positive. Opposite signs mean I am going to subtract to get the number. I have a 5 and a 2, I subtract, I get a 3. Is that 3 gonna be negative or is it gonna be positive? Negative, because there's more negatives. This one already is adding, alright? They're both the same sign, so I start out with 8 negatives, I put 2 more negatives with it, I end up with negative 10. A lot more negatives. Yeah. Here it's subtracting, so I change it to positive, and I change this to negative. Positive 15 added to a negative 3, they're opposite signs, so you're going to subtract them. When you take 15 and subtract 3, you end up with 12. Is it going to be positive or negative? Positive, because there's more positives than negatives. Here again, it's already addition, they're opposite signs, so you're going to subtract. It's going to be positive or negative? Positive. I don't know if that's good, bad, or otherwise.